The Book of the Introduction. This is a Christian book. Second edition, read by the author. The Book of the Introduction. This is a Christian book. Srandall Slopez. Copyright 2023, 2025. Capital C Press, Colton, USA. Copyright 2023, 2025 by Srandall Slopez, aka Randall Lopez. All rights reserved. This book or any portion thereof may not be reproduced or used in any manner whatsoever without the express written permission of the publisher, except for the use of brief quotations in a book review or academic paper or lecture. Hopefully printed in the United States of America. Second edition, 2025. Capital C Press, United States of America, worldwide and beyond. srandallslopez.weebly.com. Hashtag the Human Social Mediapede. Inspired by and dedicated to George Lucas, the master creator. Thank the maker. The prequels, the Star Wars prequel trilogy, is the best Star Wars. This is the end of this section of this book. This next section of this book here is the introduction section /S of this book. You may now go to the next section /S of this book. Now, go to the next page.
This book is unique. This book is not for kids. This book is for mature adult readers, and you do not have to be a Christian or a Star Wars fan or a George Lucas disciple to read this book. You just need to be able to read and or listen and pay close attention and think and ask a lot of questions about everything in this book. Question all that you encounter in this book. Question this book. Also, double-check all the facts this book is based on. Do your fact-checking as you read, by following the footnotes and by reading this book. This book is based on facts, and this book is a fact. So keep reading this book, and this book will explain this book to you. And if you need any more proof than this book, or the facts this book is based on, then may I suggest you try the local Christian comedy club on any given Sunday. They are always down at your local Sizzler. Watch for the ones that pray the loudest and that give the smallest tip. See if that helps. LOL. Oh, come on. That was just a joke. This book is full of Christian jokes, and this book is based on Christian jokes. So please just take it easy and have a good time laughing at all these Christian jokes. LOL, Christian jokes. How to read this book. Make sure to read slowly. Read at a rate that is most comfortable for you. Take it easy. This is a jokes book. In other words, this is a book of jokes. Laugh or do not laugh. Either way is fine. You decide. Although sometimes you can't decide. You just might start laughing out loud, LOL, before you think you get or got the joke, or sometimes even before you finish reading a sentence. Did you get that just now? Do you see how this works? You gotta pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to how you read and to how you are listening. Keep your eyes peeled for anything that looks unusual or out of the ordinary. Reread those parts of this book over and over. See what happens. This book is not a normal book. This book is a Christian book. So you know right off the bat that this book is not a normal book. That means this, that this book is a Christian book like any other Christian book. That also means this, that this is a book. And that means this book is a book like any other book and like all other books, because this is a book. And also that means this, that this book is not like any other book you have ever encountered, let alone read carefully, let alone paid any attention to, let alone understood, let alone did or do something about this book. The author acknowledges this, the following fact, that this is, or most likely will be, for most readers, a really difficult wave to catch. However, if you keep on reading, you will get it. You will absolutely get it. And by you will absolutely get it, I mean this, that you will be able to explain this book from cover to cover to anybody that might want to hear about what you have been reading lately. This book is all about you. In other words, have it your way. This is your book now. What will you do about it? That is the real question now, isn't it? So it is your choice. Your book, your choice. By the way, what are you reading lately, besides this book, I mean? This book does not mince words, and neither do my readers. My readers want the truth unvarnished and the tree with no bark on. If this is you, then welcome to the reading club. And if this is not you, then, well, you can either stick around or leave. You decide. Okay, that is it for the introduction section of the introduction section of this book, the book of the introduction. Whew! Are you still with me? I mean, with this book. Are you still there? I guess so, otherwise you wouldn't be reading this part. Great, then let us proceed. Nice job. You are almost done with the introduction section of this book. Keep reading. Great job. Keep up the good work. Keep reading. Are you keeping up? Remember, there is no rush, no hurry. Read on at your own pace, and do not let anybody push you around. And especially do not let yourself be pushed around by a book, especially by this book. This is a Christian book. Do not let yourself get pushed around by any Christian books. Relax. Just start with the opening title crawl, even if it does not make any sense. Keep reading. I bet you can't wait till you get to the good part. Christian readers. As you might expect, I bet a lot of Christians will be either reading this book or preaching against it. Oh, come on now, that was just a joke. And yes, I am not talking about all Christians. Just the weirdos. So can we just move along here? Listen, we already have enough Christians out there being pushed around by a book as it is. And then we have Christians that are trying to push people around with a book of rules for weirdos. Has this ever happened to you? Well, has it? I am not crazy. I have experienced this. Weirdo religious nuts are out there. Watch out for religious nuts and weirdos. Also, watch out for any creeps, especially the ones that wear a badge and a mask and also carry fully loaded machine guns and fully loaded Bibles. Look, nobody wants to get pushed around by a book of rules for weirdos, even if they are nice Christians that are trying to push you around. How to deal with religious nuts and all-out weirdos. This is what I recommend. Be as nice as you can to these people, and remember the golden rule along with the Hippocratic Oath. These ideas are tough to balance together, but we can all make it work if we cooperate. What do you think of that? If it works for you, then keep doing it. And if it does not work for you, then just keep doing your best. I mean it. These people are very mentally ill, and they need our prayers and our material support if they are to get better in any way, shape, or form, including mentally and spiritually and physically if needed. These people are sick. These people need help. They need to get saved, and most likely, they all need to get washed in the blood of the Lamb. Keep in mind that this is a Christian book. Are you still with me here? But like I said, nobody wants to get pushed around by any religious nuts, especially religious nuts that are all-out weirdos to boot. To tell you the truth, I really think these people are weirdos, but that is just my opinion. You might have another opinion altogether, and if that is the case, who cares? You have your opinion, and I have mine. And if I want your opinion, I will ask for it. This is all part of the introduction, so stay with me. Stay with this book. You are now one with this book, meaning you are now one with me, because I am one with this book. I am this book. Do you see how that works? Pretty cool, huh? Keep reading. This part of the book is vital to the rest of the book working for you. If you want this book working for you, that is. Do you want this book working for you or not? Come on, we don't have all day here. Well, you might have all day, but I don't have all day. So what is your decision? Yes or no? Are you in or out? Was that a yes? Well, if you want this book working for you, then join the team. Book sales, $1 million and counting. In or out? In, out. You in, you out. You decide. Now, where were we? Where was I? Oh, yes. Don't let anybody push you around. Please, do not do this. Do not let yourself get pushed around by this or any other Christian book. If you can get this part of the book, you will have no problem following along and seeing everything in this book clearly, and with no confusion whatsoever. Now with more footnotes. For the reader's further enjoyment and mental and spiritual and physical enrichment, we have also included more footnotes in the second edition, this edition. You are now reading the introduction to the second edition, written by the author. If you have any trouble with any parts of this book, then just go ahead and either never mind those parts or just keep reading. Eventually, the book will make sense, or at least start to make complete sense. So keep reading. This is the most unique Christian comedy book ever published next to the Bible. Keep in mind that this is my opinion and also my experience. This book is based on me. I am basing this book on myself first. This book will hopefully provide insight into the mind of a severely Christian mentally disordered person. LOL. Oh, come on, that was just a joke. Or was it? Look, take it easy. This is a Christian jokes book. This book is based on facts. These facts are based on facts and come from the following main sources. 1. Christians. But keep this in mind. Yes, not all Christians. 2. Human behavior. 3. The Bible. King James Version, KJV. 4. The Internet. 5. The Christian/S Internet. How Christians in particular act, behave on and off the Internet. 6. Society in general. In other words, purposely organized human civilization in every place that people are organized and living together on purpose for a common reason or in order to accomplish a commonly agreed upon mission using measurable goals and standards, rules, guidelines, expectations, communicated and cooperated and lived and sustained through repeated behavior, which is language and nonverbal signs and symbolical signs and gestures. Communicated, acted out, performed, enacted in some way on purpose for a designed or wished for outcome or desired goal or preferred resolution, etc. That is what society is. Society is a set of rules. Let me say that again. In other words, let me repeat that. Society is a set of rules. That is normal society. Now to get to the not normal part. Christian society. Because in society you have normal things and then you have Christian things. In other words, you have normal things and then you have Christian things. So there you have it. Are you normal or are you one of those other people? You know, them, they, not you, not me, not us. That is how we know who we are, by agreeing on the definition of what we are not. That is why people watch the news, so they can see what their job is and who they are supposed to hate this week and possibly for all eternity. Come on, that was just a joke. Take it easy. But seriously, that is what this book is going to be serving from cover to cover. Take a look in the mirror if you want to see what society is. Just take a look in the mirror, and you are looking right at it. If you don't like what you see, then change it. And the more you keep reading this book, the better you will see the world for what it is. A big, long, and hard to swallow joke. Now just think about that. Big, long, hard. Long and hard to swallow. I bet there is a good joke in there someplace if you think really hard and long enough about it. But it has to be long enough and hard enough. Otherwise, I do not want it. I want long and hard. Give it to me long and hard right now. Or you could think about it long and hard. Reread that section over and over until you are able to handle it. Let it get inside and stretch you out. Let the joke get inside of your mind and stretch your mind, I mean. And I know that might take a long time because this particular joke is a hard one to handle. Stretching takes time. Mental stretching takes time too. LOL. Keep reading. This is all part of the initial training phase to get you ready for the rest of the book. So, in closing out this subsection of this section of this book, you could just say this: that joke is a long one and it is really hard to handle. And if you think this joke is hard to read, just try writing it. We interrupt your book reading now in progress for a special letter to you, the reader, from me, the author. Capital C Press, June 25, 2025. Dear reader, how are you enjoying the book so far? Okay, never mind. Back to the main idea and jokes in this book. Please enjoy the book for your own self, and also please tell all of your friends about this book. Make as many copies as you need. Share as many copies as you want. Many Christians out there still need this book. If this book can help even one living creature to see the light and be free from following a book of rules for weirdos, that is what this book is for. Welcome to the team. Sincerely, Srandall S. Lopez. Srandall S. Lopez, capital C Press. Srandall S. Lopez. .weebly.com/sbooks. We now return you to your book reading, already in progress. Christian Society. Christian society is a set of Christian rules, and Christian society equals the behavior of the Christian members of society that is repeated over and over and over and over again. People following these rules, people following certain rules over and over and over again, that is what makes up society. A set of rules that is being repeatedly communicated at all times through the behavior of people that are members of society. All behavior is saying either yes or no, one or two, odd or even, some or all, nothing or something, this or that or and that and this, up or down, on or off, plus or minus, etc. That is what society is, basically. Society is all of that. Society is when you look in the mirror and answer your own reflection that is not real by saying yes or no to what you see in your mind and what you hear from some other place outside of your own head and outside of your own body. That is what this book is. Are you listening? Pay attention. This book will and does explain society by explaining Star Wars and by using the Bible and the internet and the Christian/S internet to explain Christians. So buckle up, dear reader. This is where the fun begins. Ha! Another Star Wars reference right there. You will find a lot of these references in this book, so just watch it out, because the prequels have the best lines. Now, as I was saying, society equals the behavior of the members of society. That is repeated over and over and over and over and over and over again. Now keep this in mind. Remember that this is a Christian book, so the audience is going to be made up primarily of Christians. Or at least, I hope this book will bring in at least one Christian reader. In my opinion, and based on my experience, Christians need to read more books besides just the books in the Bible. But that is just me. I am just one person, one mind, one opinion, so to speak, one Christian. Not all Christians. So yes, again. Not all Christians, just the ones this book, these Christian jokes, in other words, are based on. Keep in mind that this thing, in other words, this book, is just a book, like any other book. A book does not do anything or read its own self to anybody, person, you. You read it, you. And then you decide what to do with it. This is your choice. You read, you decide. There is no try. Do or do not. That was a Star Wars reference right from the start. This is a fact. At some point, you have to have a stopping point. You have to be able to say at some point, stop, stop. This is the stopping point. This is only common sense. This is the stopping point of this book. In other words, this is the common sense part of this book. Pay attention to this entire book, the book. This book explains everything you need to know about the book, this book, this book. This book explores, examines, and explains definitions, meanings, and implications of things, and how these things work together as these things are literally being performed at all times all over the place, through acting out and also acting in collaboration, negotiation, and accommodation with other things, including people, to make society what society is today. Remember these terms and words and symbols. Pay attention. Number 1, society equals the behavior of the members of society. Number 2, society is a set of rules. Terms to remember. 1, imagine. 2, Christian comedy. Christian, Bible-based Christian comedy, satire, exploring the role of, by examining and explaining the behavior of, basing Bible-based Christians in making up the structures that support and perpetuate this thing called society. Society is a set of rules. Read this book, and as you read this book, imagine this book is talking to you. Use your own voice. You know the voice in your head that you hear when you read. Use that voice to tell your head what this book is telling you to think about. 3 things, mainly. This book is about 3 things, mainly. 1, definitions. 2, borders, definitions. 3, rules. The definition of or else. Or else is defined as rules, following rules, that follow the thing or person or things or people that do not follow the rules. For example, or else. And all of that sometimes means this. It now becomes the job of some citizen to have as their main job this, to say, don't tase me, bro. Yes, I know. That is a lot to take in for Christians. Plus, before they, meaning Christians, can make a decision as to what they, meaning Christians, think about something, they, meaning Christians, have to get the approval of the Bible. What to think. The Bible tells Christians what to think and how to think about certain things, including people, and what to tell others how they need to think and how they need to act in order to be like the Bible is telling them, Christians, to tell you, the reader, that you, need to be like them. Or they can go to hell. And don't forget to say, have a nice day. This is only the introduction. Imagine what this book will be like when the book actually starts. Remember, this is just the introduction. Do you see how how that joke was just like the Star Wars prequels? Did you get that joke? That was a joke within a joke. Many of these jokes in this book are more than one joke. In fact, all of the jokes in this book are just one long and ongoing joke. This book is one long joke, written, typed, entered in longhand and with large letters. But did you get that part about the prequels? Very funny, don't you think? Imagine George Lucas is a psychologist. Your psychologist. Now, is that joke still funny? I mean, until the part about George Lucas being your psychologist. If you have ever watched a George Lucas movie, that means George Lucas is now your psychologist. So you tell me, is that funny? Do you see how your own idea of what is funny makes this joke funny in that way or an other way or not funny at all? It all depends on you, the reader. The reader decides. This book is a reader-based book. This book is reader-based. You are the reader. Think about that. You are the reader. You decide. You choose. As I write, I am basing the reader of this book. I am basing you. Think about that. This book is based on you, the reader. Basing behavior. Society is a set of rules made up of, based on, the behavior of the members of society. Society is a thing made up of multiple things. Society is a thing based on this thing, your behavior and mine. Society is a behavior-based thing. Behavior-based thing. Society is equals a behavior-based thing. Acting and actors. We, you and me, are the actors in society, making society what it is. That is what this book is telling you. You are what you eat. Society is a behavior-based thing. Everything. Everything is defined based on the role/s of each of those things. Everything in society, including people, have roles assigned and defined by society. Next, you are defined based on the definition of the thing you do. I mean, defined by, as, the thing you do to support the economy. Oh yes, this is a Christian book. Remember that. So, of course, this book will have something to say about the economy. The economy is what really counts to Christians. Yes, not all Christians. Or are you saying Christians are bad Americans? Not to mention, what does the Bible have to say about this? We haven't even gone that route yet. Trust me, this is a Christian book, so you know this book is Bible-based. And if you don't trust me that this is a Christian book, just read this book all the way through, starting with the first page. Make sure to read all the way through to the last page. If, after you have read this entire book, you still are confused by this book or cannot believe this book, don't worry about it. You can always read it later. Maybe. You never know what the future holds. Yeah, good point. Better not wait. Keep reading now. This book may not be for you. However, just to make sure, you can always read this book again. Only this time, try reading more slowly. And pay closer attention to every single word and letter, as well as the placement of each capital letter. LOL, did you get that one? Yeah, that one was an obviously easy one. I like to mix it up a little. So how are you enjoying the book so far? What harm? If you think about it, this book is not an easy book to read. So what harm can it do to read it again? It might actually do some good. You never know until you try. Think about it. Do you read the back of cereal boxes? And you are now reading this book. This is a fact. What does that say about your reading habits? You are what you eat. Generally categorized roles. These roles are generally categorized: 1. Loot. Looting the property. 2. Protect. Protecting the property. Who is doing the looting and who is doing the protecting of the property? This is a very important question. This book is asking this question. This question is repeated throughout this book. Let me ask that same joke question in a different way. Imagine this book. Now imagine George Lucas made the movie version of this book, and then made the prequels to that movie. Does that make more sense? This book is based on the book that the movie this book is based on is based on. This book is based on this book. Do you see how this works? Are you getting yet how this book does what it does? This book is pretty cool, huh? Pay attention. If you are paying attention, you will get so much more out of the jokes that are in this section, not to mention this entire book. Pay attention to this book. The prequels. This book is like rhymes with the Star Wars prequels. In other words, the prequels. What does that mean? Why did I choose to use those exact words? Think about it. This book is designed to get you to think in ways that are different from the normal ways you might be thinking. To figure this book out for yourself by using this book. No other clues, just this book. This book is all you need. Oh, well, yes. I mean, you also need the first book, and you will also need all the other books. But you know what I mean. It's all for fun, right? After all, this is a jokes book. Nothing serious, I hope you agree. Book of jokes. This way, if things get too heated, or if a joke goes too far, maybe we can all just stay calm and remember this is just a book of jokes. This is a jokes book, in other words. Here is an idea. How about video games that sell their own selves? Video-based. How about a video-based game based on a video game-based movie based on video game movies? Real life. This is that. Video games are real. Think about it. Everything you know and experience in our modern world, society, today, is now based on video games. Your local supermarket can and does teach you how to play video games. Then, after you practice playing video games, you can get your papers and be legal to leave the supermarket with whatever it is you got in exchange for playing video games. Imagine no Lucas. Imagine a world without video games based on the video games of George Lucas. Imagine the movies without George Lucas. George Lucas invented the video game, in other words, version of the Bible. The Lucas Bible, I mean. The one according to Lucas. Not the Bible according to King James. Same, the Bible. Just to make sure we are both talking about the same, the Bible, and the same version of that thing, the Bible, think of that like this. The Bible is one thing. The different versions of the Bible is one thing, are one thing. Different versions of the Bible are based on the Bible, meaning These versions are the Bible. Based on. Based on means anything based on something or some things other than its own self. This joke will be explained in other sections of this book. Go to the next section of this joke. In other words, go to the next section of this book. This is also based on whatever version of the Bible a particular reader may be basing at the time. So let's break that part of the equation, aka this section or that section, down like this. You have more than one thing. In other words, you have many or multiple things. You have one thing, a thing that is not more than one thing. For instance, the prequels, the Lucas prequels. You know which ones I mean, the Lucas movies. Each of those prequels is one thing, and also the prequel trilogy is one set. That is one thing. So, you have one thing, a trilogy, and multiple things, the prequels, that are at the same time the same thing. Multiple things and one thing in one thing that is made up of many or multiple or also different other things. Different things make up the same things or thing. Every a thing is a thing made up of other things. For instance, Jesus is a made-up thing. If you look up Jesus in the dictionary, you can see that Jesus is a thing made up of things. This means Jesus is not a thing, but things, meaning Jesus is not a thing. Jesus is no thing. Before Jesus. Before Jesus is, can be, a real and not just make-believe thing, there has to be multiple things working together to make up Jesus. In fact, there have to be two or more things made up of other things working together to make Jesus a real thing. Before Jesus is a real thing, Jesus is only an imaginary thing. When Jesus is a real thing, that means Jesus is now a make-believe real thing based on your imagination. In other words, yes, Jesus is real. He, meaning Jesus, is real in your imagination. This book is inspired. This book is inspired by George Lucas, the master make-believer. George Lucas is the master of make-believe and of making you believe what he tells you to believe. George Lucas has made millions upon millions making movies. In fact, George Lucas is the master of making billions making movies. Now, if you think the movies are make-believe and not real, as opposed to being make-believe and also real, then you will also have to accept this. Movies are free. And yes, we all know that movies are not free. And we also know that movies are free. So in other words, movies are not free. Some certain movies are free. You can download movies. However, that does not mean they are free. Yes, movies are free, but the making of the movies is not free. People have to eat, and sets have to get done by being built. Not to mention, a story has to be written that makes any sense at all. And then, if that movie is not a real Lucas-based version, then that movie, as we have already proven by this book, by the facts of this book, is a fake. Different but equal. In terms of a movie being a not Lucas movie, this is not to say that one movie can't be as good as or as real as any Lucas movie. even if that movie is a fake movie. It's just that in terms of whether or not that movie is real or not real, we know that if it is not a Lucas movie, that means that movie is a fake. And that is not being mean. That is just being honest. In other words, that is just telling it like it is. Christian Communications 101. This is a Christian book, so you know this book is going to be telling it like it is. Christian communications, in other words, the model for effective Christian communication is 1. Tell it like it is. 2. And then always say, have a nice day. And if they have their papers, offer to help carry their groceries to their car. The last is the first. Yes, that joke is going to be one joke that you will encounter over and over in this book, throughout this entire book. Read this, my other book, first. If you are reading this book, I am recommending you go out and get a copy of my first book first. Then read that book before you read this book. The reason for this is, 1. That book is foundational to this book. In other words, use that book to use this book. You can understand this one by reading that one. Does this clear that up? Seriously, though, this is a serious matter. I mean, this book is a serious matter. Think about it. Why would I go to the trouble of writing a book that did not matter? This book matters, just like Black Lives Matter. Yes, now this is a joke about Black Lives Matter. Think about it. This one is a tricky joke to pull off because if you do it wrong, also based on how many actual racists are in the audience or how many real racists read this kind of book, this joke might be considered racist. This joke is not racist. Based on what part of the country you are from and which version of the Bible you use, along with which of the Lucas movies you think is the best. Black Lives Matter too. Black Lives Matter to the economy is true. Things that matter to the economy is the standard for things that must matter to Christians. At least to Christians that are American Christians. Otherwise, what is the definition of either Christians or Americans? Do you see how that works? Do you see how the definition of things can make a difference when it comes to talking about those things in the same sentence? The starting point. The starting point of anything is always the definition of that thing. What matters most? Yes, of course, Black Lives Matter to Christians. Anything that matters to the economy matters to Christians. If you do not see how Christians are pro-Black Lives Mattering when it comes to the economy, just watch the Christian news. And in between the ads for the commercials are selling one thing: Black lives. Black lives is the news. This means the news is all about black lives. And Christians are all about the news. By the way, have you noticed how many Christian news programs there are on TV today? TV includes the internet. Imagine no Christian news. Where would all the bad news come from? Okay, that was just a joke. Please take it easy. Remember, this is a jokes book. This same joke is repeated throughout this book. Yes, get used to that kind of joke. Give it a chance. Lucas version. Think of this book like you think about a George Lucas movie. See how you can let a lot slide when you think of it like that? In other words, imagine if George Lucas was a Christian comedy book writer, and I was a movie maker, and we made the same thing into a book-based movie. And this book was episodes 1, 2, and 3 of that same movie. That is this book. Does that make it any clearer? Style of this book. If you still don't get it, you can always start over. This book is like a puzzle that you unlock as you want to and are able. This book is designed to make you, the reader, laugh. Notice the way this book is written. The style of this book is unique. The content of this book is unique. Another reason I recommend you get the first book first is for the very reason I just wrote. The first book defines the terms for this book, even though this book will define this book entirely. Benefit greatly. The reader will benefit greatly by reading the first book first and this book second. However, you can read this book and or that book in any order and or no order. In fact, you can start reading any place in this book as long as you eventually finish the whole book. You have to read this whole book to really get the full benefit of this book. Do you see how this book does a lot of repeating? Oh, speaking of repeating, the other day, did you see that big game and that one live action event in the middle of the big game where those people had a performance about lives mattering? Of course, that is scary to some readers. Some readers want lives to matter, but only certain kinds of lives, and then those lives have to live only in certain conditions and mostly under certain conditions. And this is all based on how and where I want to live. This is another reason you have to make sure when you talk about lives mattering, you have to define 1. Which lives, and 2. Mattering how. Also, based on how these various lives, or a life, matters or might matter to the economy. Not to mention, imagine the ideas people might get about the things those guys are doing down there. I mean, think about it. State-approved assault. Fascinating. Don't you want to know the actual definitions of these things? I mean, yeah, sure, they wear helmets and athletic supporters, but what about Hollywood? Hollywood is telling me those guys have some problems and that I need to think a certain way about head trauma. What is the difference between matters and life and certain kinds of head trauma? And all that depends on your definition of life and matters. See how that works? Fraternal orders. I know a lot of you in the Fraternal Order of Christian Readers, or Christians, or Christian police are thinking right about now. 1. Is this book really Christian? And, or 2. Is this book really pro-Black Lives Matter? So, did that joke come off as racist or not racist? What do you think? What are the factors that make this joke racist, and what factors do you think make this joke not racist? Make a list. Make a list of all the reasons why this joke is not racist, and then make a list of reasons why this joke is racist. Based on how many and what kind of things you have on either list, and also based on the right zip code, that joke might still be only 99% racist or the other way around. The point is, you never can tell. Even when the writer of the joke had one thing in mind, the audience can think and or feel otherwise. The reader decides. Depending on the reader, that joke might go over really well, or it might be a deal breaker. Some racists. Some racists, for instance, might stop reading here if they find, after making their list, that this particular joke was not racist. Or if they find that joke was in support of something that is against the economy. What do you think? Sometimes with racist jokes, in other words, jokes based on racists and racist thinking and racist behavior, you just have to draw the line and stop before some racist gets really upset and wants to ban this book. Christian banners. How many Christians do you think will be offended by this book? Offended enough to ban this book? What do you think? Can you think of any reasons why Christians would not be offended by this joke? How about reasons why Christians would be offended by this kind of material? Is it working? This book, I mean. Is this book working? Books, words and letters. What is it about books and words and letters? Are these things real? When do these things become real? How do we make words and books and letters real? What is real is the idea /s that these words are based on and so forth. Letters and books are the tools. The handles that make wielding the tools possible is the technology. The mind and skill of the writer makes the factors come together. The writer is made up of many things. The writer is not one thing. Just like this book is not one thing. Just like Black Lives Matter and Black Lives Mattering is not one thing. Next, the reader. The reader is part of this process from minute 1, page 1. The writer is now talking to the reader and is the reader while he, or and she, or and they, the writer writes. In other words, the writer is the audience and the performer at once in the act of writing, which is reading. The writer is the same thing based on two things. Two things that are the same thing, one thing. And this one thing is two different things. This writer, this book. This reader, you. This reader, me. See how that works? Pay attention and read it again, this time slowly. All questions. This book is all questions and all answers. In other words, this is a questions and answers book. Not there. When you can see what is not in this book based on what you see in this book, you can know what this book is saying. A Lucas movie. See how this book is like a Lucas movie? What do you think of this book so far? Pretty zany, huh? Yes, well, of course, that is what I meant when I said this is the most unique Christian comedy book ever published next to the Bible. A based book. Think of this joke book as a book based on John the Baptist, if John the Baptist had been a comedy writer hired by the Lord to write jokes aimed at Christians. Now imagine that same book is based on the prequels. And there you have this book. Have you ever heard of John the Baptist? You might want to look up that name on the internet. Imagine. Very powerful. You can imagine it, but you have to use your imagination. This is written like this to make you think. Use your imagination and make this work. What does this mean? What is the definition of this book? The meanings, implications. In other words, what does this book do? Not making history. We are the history of tomorrow today. We are not making or writing history. We are history, now being enacted. This is repeated information. This is repeated throughout this book. Read this book and pay attention to what this book is saying to you, the reader of this book. That is this book. This book needs a lot of imagination to make it work. In other words, to make this book work, you have to do some things first. And then you have to keep doing these things if you want this book to keep working. If you want this book to work, you will need to 1. Read this book. 2. Use your imagination. 3. Do something about it. Fact check. Make sure to check out all the facts and see for yourself. And to check the internet and the Bible if you want or need extra support. Remember, this is all for laughs. This book is designed to make you laugh. If you agree with this book, that's fine. If you do not agree with this book, that's fine also. And you can go to hell. Oh, and also have a nice day. LOL.